Thank you for showing up. I've given hundreds of talks in my lifetime, 100, 200, on spiritual awareness, on fire infrared saunas, on the changing body chemistry. But this is the first talk that I've given on my book that is coming out in 2024, hopefully in a couple months. And so congratulations for being to my first real talk. I had an out-of-body experience in 1970. My name is Philip Wilson. I was a mathematician before that happened. I was passionate about doing math, solving math problems. I finished second, third, and fourth in the state of Indiana on national math exams. I published the solutions to problems proposed for magazines for brilliant high school students, and my solutions appeared 3 or 4 times. I got a 419 in English on my SAT and an 800 in math. I prided myself on being English illiterate and math smart. I like to think that I set a record for the difference between the two scores. I was sort of an intellectual. When I was in high school, I was inspired by the beatniks in Berkeley, and my life goal was to go to Berkeley. So I have an Aquarius rising, an Aquarius moon with a Cancer sun. So I'm very attracted to anything that's weird, different, like The Twilight Zone, my favorite Martian, Mork and Mindy, those are all my favorite TV programs. And there was Topper before then. I go back, I'm a 1948 model. That means I just became a diamond. Do you know the best thing about being 75 years old?
What?
You don't have to take your shoes off at the airport.
Oh.
Yep. No, no shoes off, you don't have to. And you don't have to raise your hand like this. Yeah. And you can go through the other machine, and it just checks the heavy metals, and that's it. So that's the advantage, and it's been wonderful, Now, I don't like the idea that, they think that once you turn a certain age, you become decrepit. I mean, this world is crazy. Where did the hell... I used to tell my dad as a kid, it's not fair. I was 5, 6. Well, see, who ever said that this world was fair? They were lying through their teeth, or they were totally ignorant. Now, in this world in the last 3 years, oh my God, they are lying through their teeth. They are nefarious. I used to think they were stupid. But anyway, it's like the title of my book is Pictures of the Mind, and the subtitle is The Hook. Freeing yourself from beliefs that no longer serve you. Now, yes, please. That's a good idea. Now, 5 years ago, I created the title of my book. In meditating, you just know, Thank you, sir. So, the Pictures of the Mind, that's a weird title. And you don't know what to expect. But again, why did I write the book? Okay, I'm told I wrote the book because if I don't write it, someone else will write something a little bit more diluted and the world won't get the full message. And I don't want to be arrogant about it because that was, being spiritually arrogant is a form of arrogance. And there's 5 things that we can do that keep us out of balance. We can have fear. We can have greed, we can have gluttony, lust, vanity, attachment. All those things don't serve us. Anger. So what we need to do is get all the shenanigans of our mind, all the lies we tell ourselves, all the whatevers. We need to get that out of the way so we can see clearly. So we can be a clear vehicle for seeing the process. My definition of love is being in love with the process of how all life works, of how all things happen, of how things manifest, of the turns and tops. You see, you can always tell God what. And maybe you can tell it when, but I've said, it's like the mysterious hand of God works in mysterious ways. In other words, you see, Paul Twitchell is one of my heroes, probably my greatest hero. He wrote a book called The Tiger's Fang in the 50s, and it came out in the late 60s, and I found the book in 72. And I read the book back then, and I can still remember the visualizations I had through his journey into the center of God's heart. And when he comes out of it, they say, oh, he still doesn't know. You need this experience. He says, do I really have to? And he said, yes. And then they put him in a state of consciousness where he was experiencing being like, the creation of all this, and all created were all these evil and wonderful beings and evil creatures that just did havoc upon each other, and they're all in the fabric of his spiritual body. I think the fierce entities of light and darkness. And all that is you. Oh my God, everyone who you hate, everyone who is doing all this crazy nefarious means before COVID and after, and all these people who don't have good hearts, who aren't kind, they're all you. So what does this say in the Bible? It says, honor thy mother and father. No, you honor everyone.
Yes.
See, like the teacher, your parents, you're a hippie and your parents are rednecks and they don't approve of anything you do, sex, drugs, or whatever, because that's not, or they're hardcore Christians and they don't approve of anything that, and you have all these cults where they don't approve. Everything is of God. Everything is ordained of God. If it's a kind, loving God, would it want to punish you? You're it. No, it wants to rehabilitate you. It just wants us to be in alignment with it. There is no time and space. There is no time and space. That's your mantra whenever you get into trouble in your mind. There is no time and space. Okay? I had an experience in 1971. And I laughed and laughed and laughed and said, that's what life's all about. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. What was that experience? I saw a daydream coming out of nowhere, out of a point. It's like around a clock, starting at 9 o'clock, going all the way around 12, 3, 6, and back to 9. And the daydream was like, wow, and all of a sudden it stopped because I got scared. So there was it was like a line, like an arrow, boom. So I had to coax the fear back into its core, and once I got it back to nothingness again, the daydream continued and completed itself in an ecstatic moment. Call it an orgasmic moment. And it was like, oh my, ecstasy, and that was an experience. And then I fell asleep. I got quiet. That's a rest point. And all of a sudden, another daydream started. I started awakening with a daydream. And it reached an ecstatic moment. And that happened over and over again. So I laughed. That's all life is. I never realized it was true. In the cosmology, the Hindu cosmology, that's called a day in the life of God. And a night is the rest point where you fall asleep. Those souls who can handle the energy of being in the present moment, they're aware of the wonderfulness. And those souls that can't, they fall asleep into a slumber. And then all these lower worlds are created with all these fascinations and all these galaxies. And that lasts, according to the Hindu cosmology, 4,320,000 years. But time, just don't get hung up about the time. But for the first 4/10 of that 4,320,000 years of the golden age in these physical worlds. And then the next 3/10 is the Silver Age, and the next 2/10 is the Copper Age. And we are in the Kali Yuga right now, the Iron Age, where it's the worst of the worst. They say that the physical world's an ash can of this universe. But we're here, we love it. Well, we can. We have golden ages within the Iron Age. We have sub-cycles. And the whole idea of here is we're here to get experience. So we can realize we are an atom in the body of God. We are a drop in the ocean. We are a piece of shattered mirror. And so if you are the it that it is, the God of all gods, the all in the all, whatever you want to call it, no time, no space, and you all of a sudden become aware that you exist and there's nothing else there, it's like, oh my, I mean, it's the craziest thing in the world, because I was born into a Jewish family who was not religious, and I pretty much was a Jewish, atheist, agnostic. I just didn't care. Someone in 14 years old, 15, a friend of mine said, do you believe in reincarnation? And I sloughed it off. As a matter of fact, I never thought about God, but I was, okay, here's a guy named Noel. I found this book in 71, and it was a Christian book, but he said, if you believe there's good in all people, then you believe in God. If you don't believe there's good in all people, then you're basically an atheist. And so I've always believed there's good in all people, but I never believed in an outside God because it made no sense. And I delighted in hearing proofs that God didn't exist, even though I knew that they weren't really proofs. You know, it's just someone's whatever. But certainly the space God, the two-headed God of good and evil, does not really exist. It's just an illusion. The true God is I am that I am. It's see, when you listen to your heart, when you listen to inner guidance, some people call that God. I call it God listening. I abbreviate it, G listening. Then I take the hyphen out. So when you listen to God, you start listening. Isn't that beautiful? So now you know where the word glistening came from. Now in 1997, I was meditating, and they told me, well, I was trying to create, my company's name was Awareness and Health Unlimited. And it finally dawned on me, because of what was happening in my business, not having any limits, I was trying to be everything to everyone, which is hell. And so I had to find a new name for my company. And so I was trying to find a word like transformation, like a really cool word. And for a couple months, it just nothing ever came up. I came home one day early around 3:30 in the afternoon, meditated in my house. I only lived about a half a mile from my store, actually 3 blocks. No, it was a mile. In my meditating, I all of a sudden awakened, and I was outside of my body in my living room, and there was a thing there, like a vortex, like the heart of God, and the word transformation slowly went into that like a moth to the flame and dissipated. Next thing I know, I'm in my body, my third eye is wide open, I'm looking at this beautiful lake, just gorgeous. I call it a paradisical lake, a lake of paradise. And inside of it was a mound. It looked like a volcano, but it had this mud gray, brown wrapping all around it to the vortex of it. And then I'm just looking at it, appreciating it, not judging it, just really appreciating and observing it. And all of a sudden out pops a little lottery ball with the word momentum on it. And I heard the word momentum. I said, oh shit, that's the name of my new company? What a mundane word. So I'm, not real happy. And then I hear a voice in the back of my head say, taking advantage of the moment. I said, oh damn, I never realized momentum came from the word moment. Moment's one of my favorite words. So, I'm content now, and I'm trying to visualize my stationery. What else am I supposed to do? And I remember that Wendy's commercial, where's the beef? I said, okay, if something's missing. And as soon as I said that to myself, then the voice said, propelling yourself into greatness. I said, wow. And then the door slammed and I'm in blackness again. So I got up shortly thereafter, found a database and put those 3 words, the word and the 2 sentences in. And it took me 10 days to find that database, because I couldn't remember for the life of me what that phrase was. But that phrase, momentum, taking advantage of the moment, propelling yourself into greatness, that's magical. There's a book by Brother Lawrence called Practice in the Presence of God, 80 pages long. Do you know the difference between taking advantage of the moment and living in the moment? It's profound.
What is it?
Living in the moment is a bull charging for a red flag.
Yeah.
It ain't listening. Okay? Taking advantage of the moment is when you're listening, and when it says turn to right, you turn right. Okay? When a corner is turned, that's when you turn. Okay? The rules change. Okay? The purpose of rules is to get you somewhere.
Right.
Once you're there, the rules change. Okay? You graduate from high school. Now all of a sudden you're a freshman in college. All the rules are different. You got to learn them all over again. See, beliefs that no longer serve you get in your way.
Sure.
So it's a question of recognizing them. But to finish my train of thought, when you're living in the moment and you're listening, remember listen? When you're listening to your inner guidance, then you can take advantage of the moment. So taking advantage of the moment means you're living in the moment and you're listening.
Yeah.
So when that wave comes through, because you're listening, you hop in front of it. And that wave propels you into greatness.
Uh-huh.
So this is a practical definition of how to practice the presence of God. It's taking advantage of the moment, propelling yourself into greatness. And that was given to me in 1997. And I've been really blessed. There's a reason I trained for mathematics for all those years. And I have a third house north node, which means I came to teach communications. There's nothing that's more joyful for me than to share the fruits of my discoveries with others, because they help me a lot. I've written a book that I always wanted to read because it's got so much incredible information in it. And these are Phil Wilson originals. And some, I've read in books. I've got probably 100 of my favorite books. The Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman, Conversations with God. All of Paul Twitchell's books were fascinating. I have a quasi-definition of pain. You want to hear what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The awareness of time. Have you ever hurried? Have you ever worried? Have you ever waited? Have you ever grieved? All painful, aren't they? And they all involve time. So Paul Twitchell wrote a book called Talons, of Time. That means time has talons. And in the book, the evil ones were called the time makers. So this is why living in the present moment is your salvation, because there's no time. I sell a sort of that one that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxana, and gets you into no time. So that's when divine healing can take place, when there's no time. So this is something that is a treasure to me. Somehow getting into no time, getting into that sweet spot. Now the worst thing we can do to ourselves is, it says, judge ye lest ye judge. Judge ye not lest ye be judged. Okay. I don't understand why people don't realize judging isn't really a healthy thing to do.
Exactly.
Now you know what the antidote of judging is?
What?
Observing.
Without judgment.
Yeah, the opposite of judgment or judging is observing. Okay, now, see, when you're judging something, you're picturing that. A friend of mine, gave a talk. It's called the spiritual ladder. It says, wherever you see one on the spiritual ladder, you are one step below them. So you can't afford but to see everyone as the highest of the high. Because if you see them in the dumps and you're judging them, guess what?
That's where you are.
Yes, it means at least they've experienced it and they're realizing that it's not bad, it's just an experience. And because you're judging it, you haven't realized that yet. If you want to unfold spiritually, if that's your goal, then you're setting yourself up to experience that so you realize it's not bad. Because nothing is bad, everything is. It's not whether something is true or false. Every belief is a lie. It's spelled that way. B-E-L-I-E-F. So it's not whether something is true or false. It's how it is true. Everything is a half-truth. Everything is a half-lie. Nothing you can say in this world is true except it is, I am, it just is. There's nothing else you can say. You can't even say God is love. Because that's not true. God is. Okay? It just is. Now, who you are is I am. Okay, now let's see, you are essentially a co-worker with God. Paul Twitchell introduced this to the world. There's a man named Rawl out of New York who also uses that term, and it's such a relief that someone else finally has used that term to describe what we are. Because, a co-worker with God means if you throw the image out, you give it passion. See, feeling impregnates thought with action. That's a Paul Twitchell quote. Feeling impregnates thought with action. Now, the secret, the law of manifestation. See, everything I just thought the movie, the documentary was great. And some people criticized it a lot. Well, I know it was limited because, see, the secret is detachment. The secret is detachment. All the great spiritual masters are sometimes called the masters of detachment. Because you can't care. Because once you care, you have to care, but you have to give up caring. But when you don't give up caring, you give up the attachment to it. See, and that's the subtle difference. In other words, so when you judge something and you say bad, you give it all this emotion, and since you don't want it to happen to you, you don't care about making it happen, so you're not trying to pull it toward you. So that's the perfect way to manifest something. So what do you do when you judge yourself? That's called feeling guilty. Whenever you feel guilty about doing something, you sentence yourself to do it again. Until you learn to embrace it, experience it in the fullest. If you're going to overeat, well, have a good time. Have a damn good time. And just enjoy it and know that it's the last time. But you're letting yourself to experience to the fullest. In other words, you're doing it with joy. So until you do whatever you would think, whatever you feel guilty about, next time do it with joy, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. You experience it, it's out of the way, and you go on with your life. Because otherwise you trap yourself into a vicious circle. Now, why do we create businesses? The business school's got it backwards. You remember Superman Bizarro World? This is a bizarro world. Everything is backwards. So we call death insurance life insurance. We call sickness insurance health insurance. Everything is backwards in this world. It's the way it's structured on purpose. It's been ordained by God because it's here for our awakening. Nothing happens to us. That's the victim consciousness. Everything happens for us because we are creatures. Creatures create. It's our nature to create. That's what we do. You know, Frank Sinatra, frankly, was a great spiritual master. He put it all together for the whole world. The question was, do we do or do we be? And he came up with a solution. Doobie 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 doo.
Very good.
Yeah, I heard that like 50 years ago from someone else. It's not a Phil Wilson original, but it still is good. Swami Beyondananda is one of my heroes. He's great. He's a comic. He's so funny. Another hero of mine is the Mad Hatter, because he found a way to celebrate almost every day. You know, he celebrated his unbirthday, and so I celebrate my unbirthday every day. And when it's my birthday, I celebrate that too. Why the hell not? Matter of fact, I think last year I celebrated my 56th birthday. Yeah. I'm 75 now, by the way. But no one said I couldn't. See, again, well, you can't do that. I'm not a do-gooder. You know, Susie, you know, tells Joey, the teacher says we're not supposed to play in the playground. Joey doesn't know any better. He's having fun. So if you think you're not allowed to do something, you become trapped. You know, you're a slave to every belief you have. It drives you. It's life. You just have to laugh because it's funny. And you are the one that created this mess. That gives you the power to get out. Because if you didn't create it, you're helpless and hopeless. Hope. There's a chapter in my book called The Negativity of Hope. Okay? Hope is a good thing for little kids, I suppose. You know, but when my girlfriend had another boyfriend, and I had to break up, and that's how I had my out-of-body experience. It was wonderful, best thing that ever happened to me. This is when I was in college. I was 21, 22. And about a year and 2 months later, they got engaged. Happiest day of my life, because I let go of hope. The hope was driving me crazy. As long as you have hope for something you know damn well ain't gonna ever happen. See, so I don't hope in God. I read the back of a $1 bill. I trust in God. And I also tie up my camel too, because that's what you want to do. The question is, an Arab asked his spiritual teacher, when I go to the inn at night, do I tie up my camel or trust in God? And the solution was to do both. You know, it's like, I was traveling in 1973 up Mount Lemmon in Tucson. It was really, really hot, and I had a jacket on. And so, okay, I realized if I left my jacket at the side of the road, and I was going to be fearful for the next hour about whether it was stolen, then I better not leave it. So I had to just, okay, if it's not there, I'm okay with it. So I went, I forgot I left it there. And then when I came back, it was there. See, and that's the way we don't have to do anything. We don't even have to die or pay taxes. That's all an illusion too.
That's right.
Yes.
You know, taxes are voluntary, but it doesn't matter whether you're following the law or not. They do what they want to do. You know, but that's okay, because they is us, and when we honor them and honor the world, you know, honor thy mother and father. That means you honor everyone. You accept what they have, and then when you do that, you now have the freedom to respond. See, when you don't react, you can respond from an ability that you have. You can respond, and that's called responsibility. And responsibility and freedom are the exact same thing. They're different sides of the same coin. Responsibility and freedom. You see how that works? Because the more responsible you are, the more free you are. The more free you are, the more responsibility you have. So basically, I had a Kundalini experience in 1971 1.5 in August, and my whole body chemistry changed, and all my rules changed. You know, again, the high school and college, when the rules changed, I used to give talks on the change in body chemistry. My body chemistry has changed constantly, and if you're listening in the moment, and you said, well, this food was good for me for all these years, and it no longer is good, it's really hard because it was your favorite food. And so again, you get into the moment, and is it good for me now? No. Okay, you reach for a food. You know, I used to reach for yogurt with a little bit of sugar in it, or I don't know, or maybe it was just the yogurt, no sugar. And I used to reach for it, and I get pain in my arm, but I wanted it. So I ate it anyway, and it messed up my whole head. So a week later, I go reach for it, same pain, but I want it. I reach for it. It's delicious, but it messes me up. The next time I reach for it, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. I ain't doing it. See, and that's the way life works. It's like, you know, now here's an example of a belief that no longer serves you. Okay, it's just, oh my gosh, I think it's the most brilliant analogy in the world. It's a 3-story ladder. The 3-story ladder gets to the top, to the roof of a 3-story building. And you climb that ladder for like 17 years. And guess what's at the top of the building on the roof? Waiting for you, a helicopter. It's going to take you to your dream destination, the dream you always wanted. And you're going to say to the helicopter driver, can I take my ladder with me? Well, that's a belief that no longer serves you because it won't fit in the helicopter. So if you want to go to your dream destination, you better let go of it. Now you have a choice, and we live in our choices. According to Paul Twitchell's teacher, it's the first individual desire that sets everything in motion for the whole journey back into the heart of God. You know, there is no beginning and there is no ending. Who's heard that? Okay. Now that is true, but what is really true is the depth of the realization of that. See, mentally we know that, and I mentally knew it for about 40 years. And about 10, 12, 15 years, I'm standing in my big closet in my office, in my house, and somehow I'm on the precipice of recognizing and experiencing that. And it was so subtle you hardly knew it happened. But the fact that there is no beginning and no ending is profoundly freeing. Thank you. It's like there is no beginning, and that's beautiful because everything just is. So you have a goal, okay? You have a goal, and you send it out there, a picture, and it's like there's a. Have you ever seen the Quantum Leap TV program, the serial, the Quantum Leap? I used to watch the reruns all the time at 11:30 at night in the 90s. And I saw almost every single issue, and at the end, see what he does, he leaps into a person's body, helps him out of trouble, and then goes back into his body and leaps into another person's body. And in the final issue, he was doing that, he couldn't get out of the loop. And I said, oh, this is terrible. But no, it's beautiful. We never get out of the loop because it just is. And you fall in love with the process of being in the now. It's the momentum, again, the word momentum, of being in the now and the process of, and so the key in life, strange it is, it's getting into the present moment. Okay, when we judge, there's the judge and an observation. Think of a child in awe of a playground, or you in awe of a sunset. That's observation. You're not saying, no, the red should be there and the purple should be there, this is all wrong, the sun should be blue. No, that's judgment, observation, appreciation, valuing, oh my gosh, and awe of. Judgment. Okay, what's the difference between a judgment and an observation? I had a friend who thought they were the same, could not tell the difference. And so, thinking about this about a month or two ago, I said, there's not a silver or gold lining, there's a dark lining in every judgment. And I discovered it's a complaint. See, it's a complaint. I think it's Dale Carnegie's daughter wrote a book for teenage girls. This girl was complaining about a boyfriend. And she said, you're doing the 3 C's: complaining, criticizing, condemning. 3 things you never ever want to do. And if you do it, don't feel guilty. Enjoy it. Enjoy. That's what we are. We're all about joy. So, if the dark lining is a complaint, and the antidote of judging is turn the switch from off to on, switch it from judgment to observation. That's the antidote. And so we step into the present moment whenever we can. Bring yourself back into the present moment. And I discovered that every moment of my life, since my out-of-body experience, I have focused on centering. Right now, I'm putting all my attention, I'm sending all the energies into a point in my body, and I'm centering and centering and centering. And I'm chanting the word Hugh all the time. A lot of times I don't know it unconsciously. That's Paul Twitchell said that's a good word to chant because it's the sound of a whirlpool, it's the sound of the heart of God. Om is for the mental plane, Hugh is like soul plane. But you can chant whatever word you want, and it doesn't matter. Chant love, chant your name. The self-image you have, the image of yourself. I had a couple girlfriends I was in love with, and I used to send so much love to them, and finally it dawned on me, send that love to me. See, that's why I had the experience, so I could learn how to give love. Okay? Now I used to look at an old girlfriend's picture all the time because she was away and I was wherever. And they used to, spend just, okay, at 6:30, gonna go, sit and look at all her pictures and love them. And if you do this to yourself, look at all your pictures, and if there's one you don't love, damn it, love that picture also. And the self-image you have. I went through I used to be a mathematical eccentric, mathematician. Okay? And then I was a picture of a bohemian type person, just hanging out, just being in the now, just sort of like walking like this. And then I had the picture of a mad scientist, who was excitingly discovering the secrets of the universe. And then I had a picture of me as a yogi. And then I had a picture of me as a dot, a point. No space, no time. That's my identity. At the same time, I am in this world and I have to wear a mask. So I take this body on, okay? And when I look at all the pictures of me, as a matter of fact, recently I got all my children's pictures out where I was really cute, and I put them on my walls. Yeah. All 3 or 4 of them. God, I was a cute little kid. I didn't realize that because, see, in high school I thought I was rather ugly. Because I was lucky in cards, unlucky with women, because I was a mathematical, almost nerdy kind of person. My little brother thought I reminded him of Mr. Spock, real straight and rigid. But I was left-brained. In my out-of-body experience, they told me, they showed me, they took me out of my body and they showed me, it's like indoor handball courts, about 8 or 10 of them, the equivalent size of all these women were doing music, and the 1/3 art, and the other third dance, and the other. They said you need to get rid of, need to get involved in art, music, and dance because you're too left-brained. And one of my favorite books was Narcissus and Goldman. That was like life-changing by Herman Hesse. He wrote Siddhartha. He wrote Steppenwolf, and it's all about the convergence of feeling and thinking. And my second favorite statement in the whole world is, it's a double statement, thinking without feeling brings about woe. Feeling without thinking brings grief. Okay? Thinking without feeling brings woe. Hamlet, oh woe is me, consternated in thought. That's hell. Feeling without thinking brings grief. You're grieving. Well, you have no structure. The guy didn't die. He just moved to another. If you develop your telepathy, you can talk to him every day. See, so when you feel too much, you need structure. I had discovered, many years ago that all I needed to do was feel, and I was telling a girlfriend of mine, I said, all you need to do is feel. She said, I don't think so, I'm a dancer. I think I need to think more. So it's the balance of the emotional and mental, the anima and the anima, the animus and the anima. You want to merge those. When the two kids when the mind and the emotions, when the moon and the Mercury are playing together, you're free. So if you can learn, to get those parts of you intertwined and integrated and harmonized, you're free. That's what I've been doing all my life for the last 50 some years. And my favorite statement is being for or against anything exiles you from the God consciousness state. But sometimes I make it more palatable. I say being for or against anything locks you into duality and exiles you from the God consciousness state. So, by being aware of the pictures you're looking at, by looking at the picture of you, of your self-image, and loving that self-image, why not? See, when you love others, it's teaching you your capacity to love. And if you can love someone with all your heart, why not love yourself? And I discovered a couple months ago, I hated part of myself. I said, shit. But that's great, because when that surfaces, you can fix it. When you're no longer the victim, when you don't believe in scarcity and you believe in abundance, you won't act like these assholes in this world. They are. And it's not for me to decide to punish them, because they're creating their own reality and they're setting themselves up to be rehabilitated. And if they interfere with you, you have to protect yourself. That's your right. And you want to stand out and express yourself, but you do it appropriately, because you honor them first, and then you listen to inner guidance, and you know what to do. And you do it with love. And everything you do, you surround it with the background attitude of kindness. You can call someone a shithead, but you're kind with them. You call them whatever you want, but you love them. Because namaste, I honor the light within you and I see it as myself. And the mailman came into our store when I was there a couple of years ago, and he said, have a nice day. I said, fuck, that sounds like namaste. See, it's the vibration. In every society we have, in every culture, they want to find a way to escape the mundane. And you honor all that. You don't say no to drugs. Except to drugs. They say no to drugs, but I had asthma, and I found a way to do herbs. It got rid of it. I listened to Dr. John Christopher. I took Yara one day, got rid of it. Certain other herbal formulas got rid of my asthma for 7-8 times, and then I had asthma and nothing worked. So I went to the health center at Ohio State and got my Tedral, stopped it immediately, and I had the realization that drugs have their place. Okay? So now I never needed a drug after that. Because if you're for or against anything, you're going to set yourself up to experience something so you realize not to be against it. Because anytime you're against something, you exile yourself from the God consciousness state. So that's why you honor thy parents, honor everyone. You let them believe whatever they want to believe and act, and you speak with kindness and with warmth and with love in your heart toward everything that you do is colored with that attitude. So this is what I do to sustain my happiness and joy. See, they say no pain, no gain. No, that's true, and that's the old law. Like Jesus said, I forget what he said, but it used to be the old rule was an eye for an eye, a tooth for the tooth, and Jesus brought the law of love. Okay, so no pain, no gain, and the new law is you can with joy get the gain. You don't have to go through the pain.
Yes.
Okay, you can do it with joy. When people go in the relaxed thought, I say it brings joy because it connects them to the parasympathetic and it feels like your grandma's giving you a loving hug. So we all want to give ourselves a loving hug. There's a beautiful meme I saw. The lady's in a mirror, and then in the mirror, it's like she's standing there like an angel figure, and out of the mirror is coming herself and says, "You're the one I've always loved. You're the one I've always loved." See, we've always loved ourselves. Rumi, I'm a fan of Rumi. Every time I read Rumi's poet, it drives me into ecstasy. You know, it's like one of my favorite poems in the world is I died as a plant and I died as a mineral and became a plant. I died as a plant and rose to animal. I then became a human, and even that I shall become like angels blessed. When have I ever been blessed by dying? The moth goes into the flame. You go through the vortex. First experience I had way back, I'm clinging to the walls, you know, like, and finally you let go, and you know, and then all of a sudden you're in a world of incredible beauty, and that's what we do when we go through the state of death. You know, I love going on YouTube and reading all these near-death experiences that people have. There's such wisdom that Daniel Brinkley, I love him. He's such a great friend. He was born 2 years after me, but one day before. So our birthdays are almost the same. So we're kindred spirits. And there is so much. Everyone brings a little bit of the truth to us, and I really appreciate all 9 of you. All 9 of you. We have a baseball team. This is great. And I'm the referee. And so, you know, my name is Phil. Phil means love. I appreciate every single one of you in here. Has been delightful for me. Again, namaste. I see all of you as divine souls, as without bodies. And I recognize that's what I am, and I hope, I don't like the word hope, I trust that you all appreciate it. I'm sure you did, because I can feel it. And thanks for all the love you're sending to me. And my book, okay, we got 2 websites, philipawilson.com. My middle name is Anthony, and there's too many Philip Wilsons in the world. There's 2 L's in Philip. philipawilson.com. I think that's working now, and eventually picturesofthemind.com. That's my book. I don't know when it'll be out. I thought it was going to be out 2 years ago, and it didn't, because I've been procrastinating. I've got my issues that I'm working with. You know, there's never a time we're not going to have issues. It's just part of life, and so if you live in the present moment and just enjoy it and accept it and honor it and allow it, all those are good words, you know, of being allowing yourself instead of, you know, again, it's no victim consciousness, no scarcity. You are the creator. You are a leader. See, I've tried to be a savior to so many people, and that's a no-ending situation. You have to be a leader, you know, because I can't save anyone. But, you know, a friend of mine, this is really important. This is when I was about 16. He was in the back seat of my car, and he started singing a little jingle, a little song. Jesus puts his money in the Chase Manhattan Bank. Jesus puts his money in the Chase Manhattan Bank. He was Jewish. Jesus puts his money in the Chase Manhattan Bank. Jesus saves, Jesus saves, Jesus saves. I thought that was so cute. But anyway, I can't save anyone. I can't. It's not possible. It's not ordained by that which is or God. It's you know, I can only share my love and my warmth, and you got to pull yourself out by the bootstraps. We all do. That's our challenge. That's our joy. The challenge and the joy are one. Okay, and so it's like life is. You know, there are. You know, you can't ever have what you want. Do you know why?
Why?
Because when you want something, you're picturing yourself not having.
Yeah.
And you get what you picture. What's the antidote? Gratefulness for having what you don't have. You step into the wish fulfilled. Okay? So in other words, you instead of looking at the puppy in a cage at the pet shop, wanting it, the puppy is crawling all over you, hugging you and kissing you all over the face. And you're experiencing how wonderful it is. Okay, see, you don't want to ever want. Want not. Doesn't it say in the Bible, want not? That's what it means. You don't want to ever want. You just know that it's your birthright because you've desired it. You've decreed it. Hey, Camelot, the movie Camelot. Everything is the way because he decreed it. We decree it. We decide. We choose. Give it our love, our passion, and then do what we need to do next. And all of a sudden it comes to the back door and we get to experience what we decreed. That's divine law. That's the law of attraction. Okay? The secret is great, but there's more to it. It's not what is, it's the depth of understanding. It's all the depth of understanding and everything. Because I can give you a platitude, you can't have what you want, but until you contemplate that on and relax and get tuned in. And again, sometimes you have to have a near-death experience. Sometimes you have to get to that place, because there's nothing worse than believing in God. That to me, after I experienced whatever I experienced, and I was talking to a guy at a health food store who didn't know whether God believed or not, and he was in hell. So I was fortunate. I never believed in God. I went from not believing in God to experiencing the hem of God's robe and not even knowing it, and then a year and a half later figuring out what the hell happened. Because I thought it was a realization. I thought it was a realization that I needed to get involved in music, art, and dance. But no, three beings took me out of my body, showed me what I needed to do, connected me with the spiritual current, and then it took me years to know it. But anyway, I've shared a lot, I've loved a lot, and you guys have loved back, and I thank you so very much. Thank you.
Who's your publisher?
I'm self-publishing.
Okay. And how much is it going to cost?
Probably about $16.95.